Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You. Welcome to Fantasy Island. I'm Ricardo Montalvan.
Yes.
You know, Ricardo Montalvan and Julio Iglesias had like such a high stock among white American women in the 80s.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, at least I guess both of them, it was about the chest.
What chest?
Well, because Ricardo Montalban did Star Trek Wrath of Khan, and Khan had like a lot of exposed chest. And then I feel like Julio Iglesias was always, with very button-down shirts on his album covers.
Okay, I guess on that note, let's start episode 199, our last one episode in the 100s. We're talking about Luis Miguel and Julio Iglesias and Ricardo Montalban.
Why not?
As one does.
Would they expect anything different?
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, episode 199. There's this picture that Maluma has on his Instagram.
Oh, yes.
Of the fried chicken.
Yes, I saw it.
So it's Maluma on his Instagram. It's a picture of him in, a private plane. And he's like, sitting like kind of, there, like looking out the window and whatever. And there's a bucket of KFC.
And a bottle of
champagne or something. Yeah. And you're like, okay. But then if you scroll, because there's another picture posted, he's recreating a picture of Julio Iglesias in the 80s, I guess.
That's a very famous picture.
Right.
Now.
Of Julio Iglesias on a private jet
eating
with
KFC?
A bucket of KFC chicken with wine or champagne. And I just thought it was hilarious. That's a very Julio Iglesias thing to do.
That's a level of wealth that I hope to reach someday.
I don't even think about it as well. Let me ask you something. And again, everybody, welcome. How's everybody's week?
199.
How's everybody's week?
Getting ready for Easter. Oh, it's Good Friday.
It's Good Friday.
So
we're not going to be eating meat on this podcast.
Well, yes. And we usually do devour meat throughout the entire show.
Yes.
Yes.
We're butchering a cow sometimes.
As we speak.
This Happy Good Friday. Our guest today is Burger Beast.
We're going to talk about filet-o-fish today.
Yes.
Which is always funny because in English it's Good Friday, but in Spanish it's Viernes Santo. So when you translate it to English, it's no longer saintly.
Right.
It's just good.
Right. So we hope everybody, no matter what you celebrate, is having a joyous Good Friday. Yep. Actually, I want to talk a little bit about that in a minute.
Okay.
But I first wanted to talk about Julio Iglesias.
Finish that conversation.
Yeah. Because, how do we feel about Julio Iglesias?
I mean, I don't think I have ill feelings towards
Julio
Julio
I
Iglesias.
don't mean it that way. I mean, I think that if you grew up in a Latin household and you were a kid in the 80s, Julio Iglesias is a part of your life, whether you want it or not.
Julio Iglesias in the 80s was the Latin explosion.
Yes. I love that. Again, very Dorothy
well, he was on the Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls.
Oh my God, do you know who else was on the Golden Girls? And I have to give mad credit because the one who noticed this was Jose. Okay, so we were up last week, as you may recall, I was not on the episode, on the show. Thank you, Darwin, for filling in. Thank you so much. It was phenomenal. But so we were up in the mountains. We were watching the Golden Girls. Do you remember the episode where Dorothy is auditioning to go to Jeopardy? Mm-hmm. And it's when she goes to the final audition, it's her, this other lady, and this black guy, right? Mm-hmm. And we're watching it and blah, blah. And Jose's looking at the TV and looking at the TV. He's like, ese tipo se parece a los de Que Pasa USA, que él era el esposo de la factory worker, co-worker de Juan, blah, blah.
And it was him?
It was him.
No, obviously years later.
Later. But it was him. And I was like,
right.
Man, babe, you really
wow.
pulled that out of your ass.
Yes, I remember. Wow. Wow. From Que Pasa USA to the Golden Girls.
And he's still working. He was on Chicago Fire. And,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I just had to pull that out. I just had to
nice. But I feel like, in the 80s, Julio Iglesias was the Latin lover.
Yes.
And
And based on what? No. From a white American perspective, because I genuinely don't know. Is it because of All the Girls I Loved Before with Willie Nelson?
Oh, I hate that song.
Right, but what else? What else could it be?
I don't know what song I hate more. That
or Niña Mujer?
No. That or That's What Friends Are For.
At least that's what friends are for.
No, there's not.
No. It raised money for charity.
There's not at least. Oh, so awful. So awful. You know, the Niña Mujer. The Niña Mujer, I don't think we've ever really talked about the Niña Mujer.
I don't think we have.
I think that in 199 episodes, we need to talk about the Niña Mujer.
It's about time.
I mean, do we need to give a context of the Niña Mujer? But let's give one.
It's a song by Julio Iglesias.
So Julio Iglesias.
It's about Chabeli, right?
Yes. Julio Iglesias wrote a song in the early 80s called The Niña Mujer, which is a song called, the translation would be from girl to woman, which would later inspire Britney Spears
to go up to the Grand Canyon
and sing I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman.
Yes.
But, you know, think about it as like the Latin version of Butterfly Kisses, which I think is
okay. Actually, that's a really good comparison.
song too.
No, that song sucks, but it's a good comparison.
You know what? I don't like to say. I think Butterfly Kisses is awful, but I don't like to say that it's awful. And here I am saying it on the podcast because I realize that a lot of people dance that song with their dads,
right?
And maybe their dads have passed away and whatever. So I don't want to.
It has a meaning.
It has a meaning to it, so I don't want to shit on it.
Right, right.
Although I feel I just did. But
you know what? You do "Dance with My Father" by Luther.
Oh my god, I love that song.
See, there's always an alternative.
That song is so beautiful.
Yes.
That song gives me the feels.
That is a great song.
Yeah. Anyway, but the Niña Mujer. So the thing about the Niña Mujer was that song became very popular in the 80s, and for about 20 years, I'm not kidding. Every single quinces that you went to, the quinceañera would dance it with their father, and every single wedding that you went to.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
this was a twofer.
That's right. This song had legs.
Yes, this was a twofer. Yes. And I'm sure if there were bar mitzvahs in there for Jubins, they danced it with their father too.
They probably would have found a way to put a gender reveal party,
mitzvah, right? A gender reveal party.
They probably would have figured it out too.
Like this song was like everywhere, and you know when I just listen to the song without all of that,
right?
It is a nice song.
Yes,
it is a nice song, and it has very nice lyrics. Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh my god, like
we were OD'd on De Niña Mujer.
God, it was like everywhere, and it's like, and I feel that. It was so played out that it lost how special it was, or it could have been, right? Because it was like, okay, here's another wedding or another quinces, right? Because I feel that a lot of times when you go to quinces or even weddings, like whenever the couple, whether it's their first dance or again with the father and the mother, with the father and the daughter. You know, when they pick like a unique song, it's like, oh my god, it stands out. It's like, oh, that's so like clever that they picked that song.
Have I ever told you what was the song that for some reason, not for some reason, I know why, but not when you think of the lyrics, they played in every 80s wedding I went to. The first song between the couple was Careless Whisper.
Yeah.
Pretty song, not really appropriate as your first dance.
Right. Well, I mean,
if you listen to the lyric,
I mean, the saxophone.
It's true, we loved the saxophone in the 80s.
Yeah, right. In the 80s,
I miss the saxophone.
I sort of do too.
I do.
That's one of the reasons why last Friday night when the Kenny G part was great, and I love the sax solo in Finesse with Bruno Mars and Cardi B. But yeah, we do miss the saxophone.
We should fund a tour for Kenny G and Dave Cause.
The sax returns.
We could call it Sax on the Beach.
Return of the Sax.
Oh, yes.
Return of the Sax.
And they could play that.
Return of the Sax. So yeah, it was all the rage of Julio Iglesias. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. I can't reference Return of the Mack without saying our Mark Morrison story.
Well, it's your Mark Morrison story.
Wait, were you there?
I wasn't there. I feel like I was there.
Yeah, I feel this is one of these stories that has
I'm part of it now.
Grown so much that that you weren't there.
I was not there.
But I was
because I think I was like the first person you called right after it happened.
I'm sure that it was happening. I'm like, you remember. So when I lived in downtown, like one day I'm outside of the building. This would be like in downtown Miami,
right in front of the AAA Fatux Arena, whatever.
FTX Arena, whatever. And in the building next to where I lived in Marina Blue, there was like a fountain with like a ledge. It's still there, and there was this man singing And they were, and it's not like he had this huge entourage.
Right.
He was there like singing. He was filming a video, and I think there's maybe like the guy with the camera, maybe like an assistant, and there was what appeared to be a manager. Okay. And then I, being the music, being being me, and being the music,
connoisseur
that I am, I'm like, I know that man, and I go up to the lady. I'm like, is that Mark Morrison? And there were a ton of people passing by.
Nobody stopped.
Nobody was like, even looking twice. And she's like, yes, it is. She was so like proud that somebody
knew
had recognized Mark Morrison. I'm like, Mark Morrison, Return of the Mack.
And this was how many years after that song came out?
This was like in 2014.
Right, because it's not like he was
that song is from like 95.
It's not like he was recording the video for the song.
Right, this was like 20 years later, right? And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
did you ever find the footage? Like, did they ever make a video?
No, I know. It's so funny because for years, this was like 2015. Yeah, this was like 20 years after that song came out. I did look up for it. I like went to like his social media and all that. I'm like, no, I never saw it. So maybe it was for Germany.
Oh, those Germans.
Those those that they would do for Europe.
Yeah, Germans love a fountain. Yes.
But I was like, wait, that voice.
I'm picturing this very busy moment, where hustle and bustle, and all of a sudden you're like, hark.
It's Mark Morrison.
It's Mark Morrison.
You know that taking it back. Oh yeah, Return of the Mack. Say whatever you will.
That's a really good song.
That's a jam, or as they would say now, a bop.
A bop. Yes.
Okay, that song is awesome. I don't care what anybody says. Judge me if you want. Like, I'll never forget that one time when I was working like Big Law. I had that song on in like my laptop, and I remember I was in the conference room of the firm, and this was like serious. It was like Big Law, and I had it on like volume 1.
Okay,
like
so very low.
I could barely hear it, right? And I was working on. I forgot what I was working on. That I was in the conference room, and this huge conference room, and one of the partners, probably somebody at that time in their 50s,
okay,
walks in, and he went to like get something in the speakerphone. He goes like, "Return of the Mack, great jam, great song," and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like, how does this man know? Because that was like in, I don't know, 2007. So that song was like 10, 12 years old. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, Return of the Mack. Like,
maybe he's European.
Yeah. Like my favorite song of that era is, right?
Anything by Craig David?
No, Craig David is in the 2000s.
Oh, okay.
With that said, 7 Days by Craig David is probably the song I've listened to the most in my life. Do you remember cuando era cogí con esa canción with Craig David?
Oh, 7 days? No, more like 365.
For like 7 years?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It was like 7 days, another song. 7 days, another song.
What were his singles? I heard
from Craig David.
Yes,
from that album. The first song, "Will You Fill Me In?" A calls diverted to answer phone.
No.
And then it was 7 days. 7 days. And then it was I'm walking away from the troubles.
I heard that song the other day, and I don't even remember where it was, but it was one of those things where it was that song followed by like 3 other songs that eventually that are like very like, I know where I was. It was in Gainesville. Mm-hmm. I walked up to Metro Diner and they were playing Janet's secret song from Janet.
It's
Oops Now.
Yeah.
They played that. They played like, and I told her, I'm like, pero is my iPhone like the playlist for this? When I walked in, they were playing Oops Now. It was like toward the end, and I was like, oh, nobody else here knows this song.
Come on, you guys.
Yes. Here we go now to the restaurant.
Wow, that's great.
That's random as fuck.
Yeah, Craig David. I got it. I stand Craig David hard.
You did. Also, I don't think we should use that term.
Stan?
Yeah.
No?
I was on an Eminem kick the other day, and so obviously, I heard the Stan song, and it's like, y'all, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I feel about Stan?
Not a good thing.
You know what I feel about Stan? I feel that that's a term that a lot of people use that probably don't know the reference to.
I guarantee.
Yeah.
I guarantee, because Stan is a good, 15, 20 years old?
Stan is 22 years old, because that's from the Marshall Mathers LP, which is from 2000.
Well, there you go. So there were people using Stan who were not even a thought in their father's eye.
No, what I was going to say is my jam from like 95, 96 is My Boo. At night, I think of you. I want to be that song,
baby.
that song. That's the type of song you're going to the beach.
Totally.
Oh, you should know.
Windows
that.
down.
Windows down. Not a care in the world.
Nope.
And it's like I don't care that there's traffic. I'm looking at the ships.
Yeah,
I'm
especially on the causeway.
Yes,
It's the
I'm
causeway.
on my way to the beach. Look, it's the Carnival Valor. Oh, look, it's the Allure of the Seas. I don't care that there's
These new ships.
There's a traffic jam here. There's always traffic there now.
That's true.
It's okay. I'm going to the beach. The windows are down, and I'm listening to
My
Quad
boo.
City DJs. My boo. And then it's followed up by the train.
Well, I mean, you should always go to the beach with Michelle, Tamika, and Tanya.
Of course.
Yes, they are great company.
That song is so good. Like, really. Like, I know we always talk shit about the train, Quad City DJs, but I mean, that song is good.
There's a reason people are still talking about it.
That song is great. But yeah, no, Latin Lover, Julio Iglesias.
Julio Iglesias, Latin Lover.
Man, seriously, those like 80s songs were so freaking epic. I mean, you know who's coming in concert?
Okay.
Pimpinela.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
I saw it in a bus stop.
I
was about to take a picture.
We can end the episode right now. Like, I saw it at a bus stop. Like, we're done.
And I was like, you know what would be fun? To, like, our whole group go watch Pimpinela, because that when they sing Pega la Vuelta, it'll become performance art.
It's karaoke.
Yeah, it'll become performance art.
Yeah. Like, I might as well just go dressed like those old. For some reason, people don't do it that well. Maybe because of the whole gender neutrality thing. Remember when people used to do the half man, half woman dress? Yeah. I should go like that to Pimpinela.
Victoria.
Yes.
Wow.
That was good. Wow. Yes. Look at you.
And Glenn Close played that character one time, right? Yes.
I'm gonna say yes, but I. Not 100%, but I'm going to give it to you because that sounds like a thing that would happen.
Can you believe I knew that?
You pulled that out of your ass, my friend.
I do know.
You do pay attention once in a while.
Yeah.
We should try to get Pimpinela on the show.
I would be a little starstruck.
Of course I would.
I'd be like, oh my God, like you're the soundtrack of everybody's life.
At the very least, all of our quinces.
We all thought you were married, but your brother and sister. I mean, listeners, you all thought Pimpinela was married.
Everybody did. Come on. I mean,
Pega la Vuelta is such a good song. It's so like, I mean, listen, you want to talk about empowerment? That song has nothing on You Ought to Know.
Hell no. Alanis, were you talking about your brother? No.
No.
Okay, so
she was talking about
Dave Coulier
going down in a theater,
right?
But because that song is so like, and what I like about Pega la Vuelta is that it has build up.
Oh, it's a story.
Yeah.
It's a classic story song.
But just melodically, it has like a build up.
True.
Yes,
it starts off very... And then it crescendos.
No.
Soy yo. ¿Quién es? Soy yo.
Soy yo. Que
vienes a buscar a ti.
Es tarde. Lo sé, porque ahora soy yo la que quiere estar sin ti. Por eso vete, olvida mi nombre, mi cara, mi casa y pega la vuelta.
Jamás te pude comprender.
It's so like, man. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, pero let me tell you,
sing the hits.
The only podcast this week that is presenting to you Pimpinela's Pega la Vuelta reinterpreted.
As it should be.
Right. Well, you know what my favorite song of all, like, practically my favorite song of all time is, right? In Spanish.
La Gata Bajo la Lluvia.
La Gata Bajo la Lluvia. Like,
yes.
That song, like, I'm seeing myself.
It's also one of the best, moments with our friends.
Oh, yes. Yes. We don't need to talk about that. There's alcohol involved.
He was drinking and he meowed.
I meowed, but I didn't purr. You would have purred.
I would have purred.
I just went meow.
But it was perfectly timed. It was like the song had just ended, and you're like, meow.
I didn't go meow.
No, but it wasn't like a tiger. Yeah. It wasn't like you went meow. No, you did it like an afterthought. Like meow.
But you would have purred.
I would have purred.
But that's like La Gata Bajo la Lluvia. That's like my childhood. I'm in my parents' living room watching Siempre en Domingo, and it's 1985, and everything is good in the world.
I like the video you showed me a couple of weeks ago. That was probably like a month because around the type of carnaval con Vicky Carr y Ana Gabriel.
Oh yes.
That for some reason there's an eclipse in the middle of it.
Yes, and What's that song?
Amiga?
Amiga, tengo el corazón herido, el hombre que yo quiero
Yes.
se me va.
The song with the world's least helpful friend.
Yes. That's Cosas del Amor.
Cosas
the name
del
of the
Amor,
song.
yeah,
The
yeah.
famous duet with Ana Gabriel and Vicky Carr.
Yes.
So, listeners, I mean, you all know this song.
And if not, check it out.
But
Check out the video.
What I find funny is when you go back and examine the lyrics, like Ana Gabriel is pouring her heart out to her
Right.
friend. Like,
Her man left her.
He left her. Is it another woman?
Is it my fault?
Is it my
Is it-
fault? Like, I loved him so much. I don't know what else to do. Like,
She's at the end of her rope.
And Vicky Carr is like, well, you obviously did something wrong.
Yeah, it's all you.
It's all you. And I'm like, she's such a bitch. Like, can you keep, at this moment, Vicky, can you keep your comments to yourself?
Just be supportive.
Just be supportive.
The eclipse is coming. Just be supportive.
Be there for Anna. Ana Gabriel, that's another one. Like, the hits are just the hits are like what's that? Because she has so many. I love the perfume, pecado original. The song is about perfume, pretty much.
Like Britney's?
No, not like Britney.
Britney's inspired by so many Latin artists.
And then the other one is en el aire, ¿quién como tú?
Oh, ¿Quién como tú? Of course.
Que día a día, na, 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 ¿quién como tú?
She has such a great raspy voice.
Yeah, she is.
It's like she's the original Demi Lovato.
Oh,
Well, vocally.
we love Demi.
We love Demi.
But yeah, I mean, I think we could have a whole episode on like
I mean, we've already had 20 minutes.
the great Spanish hits of the 80s.
Or as I like to call it, peluqueria rock.
Peluqueria rock. You're right. Peluqueria rock. And it's funny because even though I've never been into música regional tejana,
Are we at the Grammys? What just happened?
música norteña, right? Growing up watching. So listen to this. Growing up watching Siempre en Domingo, as we did, and
Yeah.
as probably a lot of our
Many of our
listeners
listeners did.
and growing up watching Sábado Gigante, you know,
Yes.
they would have traditional Mexican bands,
Yeah.
right? And I feel that like during the 80s especially, like the most iconic one was Los Tigres del Norte.
Oh, for sure.
Right? I don't know if I know what a
I can't tell you a song,
right?
but I know who they
I
are.
know who they are, and I
Right.
know what they look like,
Right.
and I know the evolution of a Tigres del Norte.
Right.
I compare them to, like, in English, Alabama. You know, Alabama was in all these award shows. They would win
Okay.
every single American music award.
But I can't tell you
and
one
I'm like, I don't
Alabama
know
song.
a single song of Alabama. But yet here we are winning all these awards, and awesome for them.
You are doing great today with the comparisons.
Yeah,
You really are.
So, okay, now that you mentioned Brittany,
Yes.
so what do we think about this pregnancy? Is she pregnant? Has this been confirmed?
Okay, so here's the thing.
There's a thing.
Here's the thing. What happened was, so as
not pregnant?
as our listeners may know, no, I'm just saying, as our listeners know, you know, Brittany has announced her pregnancy and this and that, etc. I believe her, but the problem is that her pregnancy announcement came out in one of her usual rambling Instagram posts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna wait a couple months
To see what happens.
to see if it's really pregnancy or if she has, like, you know, un peo trabajo, because I don't know. Her Insta posts, grain of salt. Like, I'm still waiting to find out what the hell Touch of Rose is.
Right.
Oh, but maybe she'll have a daughter and she'll name her Rose and she'll be like, this is it.
Right.
I don't know. I just, I'm happy for her. And I do hope it's a little girl because I think she wants a daughter. Like,
Right.
But dude, her kids are like men already.
Yeah.
Want to see el otro día se casó Brooklyn Beckham?
Is it wrong that when he got married, I totally didn't care? I just wanted to see her.
She looks fantastic, and I don't know what she's doing.
Okay, let's make sure we're talking about the same person here. I was talking about Victoria.
Yeah.
Right.
She looks okay. Here's where I'm going with this. As celebrity women age, they tend to look harder because there's the surgeries and the this and that many of them have. She looks softer.
Right, but they're still fairly young. Victoria Beckham is like 46, 47.
You know as well as I do, and as well as anybody on the Housewives, that's like, okay, fill her up.
No, you're right. But
she looks soft. I think she looks good. Like,
you mean I think you're trying to say that she still looks fresh.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah. I don't really care too much for Brooklyn Beckham. Like, I mean, could have been my neighbor.
This is true. You're so selfish.
Excuse me. You know what my whole thing with Brooklyn Beckham was? That a couple, like maybe a year ago, and it's nothing against him. Maybe he's a wonderful guy, but like a year ago, he was on the Today Show in like a cooking section.
Okay.
Remember I called you, and I was like, Brooklyn Beckham was just in the Today Show, and he was like cooking a steak, and I'm like, okay, this is obviously his agent wanting to
do something with the
name,
right?
That now Brooklyn Beckham is a cook, right? Or is a chef? Well, not a chef, but a cook. And it's funny because, like, he didn't present anything new. Like, he's like, oh, you have your steak.
So there wasn't like the Brooklyn method.
I put butter and then I cook it, and then like 4 minutes on each side, and then I put a little of rosemary on it.
And here's the steak.
And I was like, oh, but are you opening up a food blog? Like, are you opening?
Right. What's the goal here? What's the point?
I'm like, oh, they probably just needed some space. And,
fuck, find somebody.
Yeah, but good for them.
I know you said steak. Have you?
Although with that said, I thought really quick. I'm like, because I love Victoria Beckham. I've loved Victoria Beckham since she was Victoria Adams.
Yes.
I love her.
Yep.
I was pretty sure that I was gonna meet her. Somehow we were gonna make it work.
I get it.
Somehow it was somehow we were gonna arrange something.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. So really, when he got married, I'm like, I just want to see pictures of your mother. I don't even care about your father. Like, I no. Like,
congratulations to all of you. Where's your mother?
Where's your mother? And it's funny because when the pictures were released, it was obviously of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like scrolling. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about her dress. I don't care about her. Like, I don't care about them. Where's the mother? Like,
there she is.
Well, there she is in her whatever way she looks.
Silver.
But congratulations to them.
Now that you said steak, though, I'm only bringing this up because I don't know if you've heard of this place here in Miami, but I now have heard of it twice in the span of like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of Poppy Steak?
Poppy Steak, no.
Okay, Poppy Steak is a restaurant south of 5th in the beach, mm-hmm. And Poppy Steak, you can purchase a steak for $1,000.
Oh, great.
And when you purchase it, they come out with like, all of the fanfare and those torch things and this and that. And all I can think of, because I was meeting with some people through my job, and they're like, oh, we were here in town, and we went to this place, and they had a $1,000 steak. And I probably looked like the biggest asshole because I was like, you went to a place that had a $1,000 steak? And they're like, oh, because I'm like, that is the biggest waste of money I've ever heard of in my fucking life. Like, and I was like, oh no, I'm so glad I'm the client. Because they all just kind of have to nod their head and agree with me. But that is the most Miami bullshit.
Well, here's the thing.
What is this? What is this cow from Mars?
I think that everybody today says they're a foodie. I don't think of myself as a superior foodie than anybody else. But you know that I am a foodie, and I cook.
You know food, yes.
I know food. I'm not an expert, but I know food. And obviously, anybody that knows anything about good food and good meals knows that some of the best meals that you can have in your life come from a hole in the wall.
$10.
Or from street food,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So to me, a fancy restaurant has never... It's not something that
It's not impressive to you.
It doesn't say anything to me.
Right.
Of course, you want to go someplace nice like the Capitol Grill
for an anniversary event,
but that's more of like a package, right? Right. And the food is good. I mean, a steak and Capitol Grill is great. It's expensive, but it's great. It's good.
But it's not $1,000 for a fucking steak.
But and there's certain like, I think expensive levels. Like for example, I love and I'm not a big steak eater, but I do love Ruth's Chris, like with the butter on the filet mignon. That is very delicious. That's something nice to go like a nice steakhouse and have the cheesecake and that whole experience, right? But I mean, obviously the steaks there are like what, $30, $40, right?
Carito.
So like, yeah, $1,000 steak, or these restaurants that you go to that have whatever that's gold covered in gold leaf. It's
Who cares?
What does that mean?
Who cares?
Like, I don't I know, like
this steak, I guarantee you it's just as dead and just as cooked as a $30 steak.
There was something special about the
I'm trying to remember if there was anything special about it.
It must be Wagyu.
At minimum, or you better be allowed to kill it yourself for $1,000. I mean, shit.
It has to be, because that's the only way. Let me see about it.
Well, everything on their menu, I did notice that nothing on their menu has a price.
Right.
Online. But when I saw it, it was just like, I got angry and flashbacks of like the bullshit of
It's a Wagyu. It's a Wagyu tomahawk. Okay.
Okay, but still.
Yeah, still. Well, I mean, obviously Wagyu's very expensive.
Okay, I've had Wagyu. You've had Wagyu. We haven't paid $1,000 for it.
And the tomahawk cut is very expensive.
Okay,
as well.
We've each had a tomahawk in our life. We've never paid $1,000.
$1,000. I mean, a Wagyu steak in like New York City can be like $200-$300, which is still absurd.
Right.
But like, it's a bargain
compared to $1,000.
$1,000.
Right. And of course, it comes out with all the fanfare that people record so they can post it online.
Of course,
it's the bullshit we keep talking about, like with the salt bays and all that.
Salt bay, like
it's you. But está gastando dinero just so that you can be like, look where I'm at. Look what I did. You know, I'm making moves.
Well, yeah. That's why that type of restaurant, like, again, when you know. And again, it's not even knowing about food; it's appreciating food and in all the different forms it comes and avenues that it comes. That type of stuff you see right through it. Like, that's why I've never had any inclination whatsoever to go to Salt Bay to it's called Merced or whatever.
Well, we also don't go to avowed, communist restaurants.
Right, but even if that was the thing, but what's this whole show though for him?
Sí, porque él ni cocina.
See the whole cartoon thing. I'm gonna put my hand and throw the salt. Like, I mean,
he's not even the chef.
Really, that's why we're paying so much money for you to do this. Like, that type of stuff doesn't impress me whatsoever.
Para eso you and I are like Shania Twain.
What?
That don't impress me much.
That don't impress me much. It doesn't. And that's why, like, a lot of these restaurants and like South Beach and all that, like, I find that many times I've gone to some of these more expensive restaurants, either for a birthday or an event or something, and they're good. It's not like you come out of there and you're like, okay, that was terrible. But it's like, if I'm paying this amount of money, I want it to blow my mind.
Oh, I'm thinking of an experience that we had that was salimos con hambre.
Oh, when we went to Tantra in the early 2000s?
That place is closed now, right?
Yeah, Tantra closed.
Yeah.
So we went to Tantra some years ago, and listeners,
it was like 20 years ago.
Listeners who, are from Miami or
were from Miami.
Were of,
a certain age.
Of Lincoln Road age in the early aughts. This was like a very big restaurant, like a very popular restaurant, because Tantra they said that the food was an aphrodisiac, right? Yeah, but had you forgotten about that aspect?
I did forget about that.
The food was, an aphrodisiac. And I remember they would always say, like, oh, there's grass inside Mentira. When you would walk in, like, the lobby had a little patch of grass. And I remember that we went for a friend's birthday, and it was a group of us, and, like, the food was, like, ridiculously expensive. Yeah. And then not only that, but they had, like, a minimum. Small. They had, like, a minimum surcharge. Like, every person had to order.
Regardless of whether you were just there.
Right. Like, I remember we had a friend that she had already had dinner and whatever earlier in the evening. So it was another friend's birthday, and she had just come to hang out and have a drink and whatever. And they're like, no, you have to order a minimum. I think it was like, $60, $70.
Because they told her at first you have to order something. And she's like, okay, I'll order the appetizer or whatever. And they're like, no, it has to be an entree.
Right. I don't stand for none of that bullshit.
No.
And the food was like, we all went to, where would we go? McDonald's or Denny's?
We went to Denny's afterwards.
Yeah.
Mira, we left there hungry and we were not horny. So, I mean, like...
No, you got turned off by the prices and the food.
The food.
That to me is all a gimmick. It's like whatever. As you said, it's to be like, oh, I went here, and now in social media world, it's like, oh, I'm tagging,
everyone.
I don't know. When you said steak, Bobby, I was thinking, I don't know, food truck. That's or Bobby Steak.
That would be a cute name for a food truck, actually.
Yeah, that's where
Steak
I was
Bobby.
going.
Yeah, steak sandwiches.
Yeah. That's kind of the route that I was taking with that. But whatever. So, what were you going to tell me that you wanted to bring up for the podcast?
It might have been that, but I also think. So I want to live online. I do want to propose something to you here because, as you know, next week is our 200th episode.
No, don't put me on the spot. I already said.
And I already think that for our 200th episode, I think we should maybe do an IG live where you and I both go and put on very expensive suits and tuxes, but then do the entire episode in the pool. In our tuxes.
Oh, okay. You had me going there for a second. Okay, you had me going there for a second because, a very good friend of mine, him and I were both Bond fans.
Yes.
And we have always said that we want to go watch a James Bond movie in decked out.
As Bond.
We want to go in a tux
right.
and rent an Aston Martin to drive to the theater, right? And step out with the Bond theme music, right? Right. Hablamos mucha mierda. We didn't even see the last Bond together. Okay, so we're talking about Mariah.
We are talking about Mariah.
Did an Instagram live this week in case nobody saw. Probably nobody saw it. Where she did an Instagram live and she was in a pool, decked out in a gown and
full
her
evening gown, makeup, everything.
As Mariah does.
Yes.
What I think is great about that Instagram.
What was the reason that she did it?
Okay, so I was about to say that.
Sorry.
What is great about that Instagram live, and listeners, if you want to amuse yourself, go to her Instagram and it's still there, is that it was for 20 minutes and she really didn't say anything.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
She just woke up and she's
because the thing is that her kids were there and Brian was there. So it's oh, darling, bring the Black Irish, her new
that's right.
Irish tea. Oh, yes, we're here having splashes. Are we going to talk to them about that project I have? That project I have coming up. Oh, no, we can't talk about the project. No, we can't. We can't. Oh, because something, we're in the studio, we're writing. I'm what are you saying? This just it's kind of reminded me of Dr. Seuss, the movie, when this girl goes to Mike Myers, the fish is talking, and he's but what does it say?
That's true.
It's sort of another one.
I'm telling you, you are on a roll today, my friend.
And I was she just spent 20 minutes, she didn't say a thing.
I mean, she was promoting her whiskey, right? Is it?
No,
Black Irish is a whiskey, right?
She sort of mentioned in passing. She didn't even properly mention it that her masterclass premiered this weekend.
Oh, that's
this
right.
week.
That's right.
But it was so and then they were trying to do Instagram live with people calling in, and then it wasn't working. So then she's darling, technical difficulties, and I'm I feel that at this point, Mariah Carey and her technical difficulties, it's part of part of the running joke.
Again,
it's part of the brand.
It's the things that she does that if you get it,
I think she's in on it.
She's in on the joke.
Yeah.
She understands what people are coming for, and that people who get it, and people who don't
are just going to be talking
still
shit.
going to talk about her.
Yeah.
So she wins either way.
Can you believe Mariah Carey was in a gown in a pool?
Right.
Who does that?
Why not?
Who does that? Who does she think she is? She's Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey in a pool in an evening gown.
As one does.
Why not? Why the fuck not?
As a fan, I'm there watching okay, what are we announcing?
Right,
we
you were expecting something.
And she's oh, Miss Monroe, her daughter,
That's right.
oh, come and be in the Instagram live. I'm oh. Jeez. So,
maybe she had been having too much of the Black Irish.
So actually, I wanted to talk about something a little bit more grim.
A little with more depth?
Yeah, so we're heading into a less lively conversation on our 199th episode.
All right.
How is everybody today?
I think they're doing good. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Yeah,
I mean,
Friday.
I'm assuming you may be listening on Monday.
But you can. If you're listening on Friday, again, I don't like to say Happy Good Friday. It's Happy Good Friday,
hope you are enjoying your Friday.
Hope you're enjoying your Friday. So this week, Molly Shannon was on.
Oh yeah, I saw that
on Howard Stern, and he was. In all fairness, he's the one who asked her.
What was it that he asked her specifically?
So he asked her about an incident about Gary Coleman.
Oh, because she just released a book.
Yes, and we, as we know, Gary Coleman from Different Strokes, and she was saying how when she met Gary Coleman, or at least in this incident, she was, I forget how old she was. She was very young.
Yeah,
and she was a virgin, and again very young, and he asked her up to her hotel room, and she very naively thought.
Sure, why not?
Because they had somebody in common. I don't know if it was a manager.
Her manager. She had just gotten her first manager, who also managed Gary Coleman.
Right. So, and he took her up to her bedroom, and certain things happen where, the way that she recalls it, it's harassment, right?
He jumped on her,
right.
so yes.
But that's not like why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
So, and the way she explained it, you could tell she wasn't being salacious about it.
She's like, this is what happened.
This is what happened. And she even was like, she even said, look, because of his stature and he was so short, I wasn't like
she didn't feel
physically threatened, but I was very uncomfortable, rightfully so. So my question to you is, and what's up for conversation, do you think it's okay? I mean, for anybody, but obviously a celebrity has a public platform to bring up something. I mean, in this case, it was sexual harassment, but whatever it is. Do you think it's fair or proper to bring something up of somebody who's died?
It's funny because that's actually one of the first thoughts I had when I first heard about this.
Obviously, that person can defend themselves.
That's what I was thinking. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm not saying... I don't want it to be like you should not speak ill of the dead and blah, 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 because, God knows we speak ill of Hitler, rightfully so.
Well, that's a little different.
But in this instance, and again, it's Molly Shannon, right? So it's also somebody like you were saying, she's not salacious. She almost, and this is again what we bring to the table, right? Because it's Molly Shannon. When I read this and I read her quotes, I hear it in the Molly Shannon funny voice. Right. And I hear it as like, she's all animated and telling the story. So it almost, even though it is about, in a sexual harassment assault, however you want to classify it, it almost defanged it by the fact that it's coming from her. You know what I mean? But I feel very weird when people make these allegations or recount these incidents about people who are dead, particularly when it's somebody who, to my knowledge, you haven't heard these things about. Because if tomorrow, Bill Cosby passes away and somebody comes out and says something, we all collectively will be like, well, yes.
Right.
Like, this is someone who either we know what happened or has had to deal with it, and we know what their response would be. But in this instance, it just feels weird. And in this instance, but I mean, in the instance of someone who's dead.
I have... sort of similar to you. I have mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, I think especially if you're talking about something like that, you need to tell your truth. And if that's going to be...
And she's writing a biography,
if that's going to be cathartic for you and if it's going to help other people...
Do it.
You need to say your truth.
Right.
So on that one hand, I agree with it. On the other hand, that person isn't there to defend themselves. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it from a legal defense perspective. Yeah. But that person, even if they're a jerk... Right? Even if they're a jerk and they were terrible, they're not there to defend themselves. Especially, I mean, I hate to put it in this context if that person has like children, you know what I mean? Because it's like your father, well, in this case, male, I mean, it could be a female. That parent is not there to tell their side of the story, to maybe explain to you what happened. So I'm very on the fence about it. Like I see it both ways, You are right. Like have you heard the interview?
I read it. I didn't hear it.
She was mentioning it sort of like very as a matter of fact. So yeah, I mean, I would say that probably in other cases that either were more violent or whatever. Yeah, people need to say their truth. I mean, in any case, people need to tell their truth. But it's just it's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit complicated because again, the other person isn't there. So, but I just thought about that, and I'm like, like, I mean, good for her. Good for her. Yeah. It's just he didn't have any kids, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I know he was married at one point.
Yeah. So,
but I don't think he had any kids.
So. I don't know if you heard, or maybe you listeners, you heard, this week, the Library of Congress added some songs to their audio history library. So obviously anything that's added to the Library of Congress, whether it's visual or audio, it's because it's culturally significant,
right?
And it impacted that. And Ricky Martin was added.
Vida Loca?
Vida Loca.
Well, I mean, you can't argue with the reasoning.
I know, but I know why they added that song, But that song...
Okay, but you're also approaching it from someone who has been following his career.
But he has so many really good songs
before
that are better.
and after. Yes, but you... Okay.
I know. I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
Are you going to tell me that Nieve de Noche, Fuego de
Fuego
Día?
de Noche, Nieve de Día. That's a great song.
But that had a bigger cultural impact than Living La
I
Vida Loca.
I get it. But like, I feel that this is the type of stuff when sometimes you hear a singer, especially a singer, not connect to a song that is like their biggest hit. It's like, it's so true because like this song, and it's not that I'm hating on that song, but that song sucks compared to so many other songs in his catalog that are really good songs, right?
We'll never get Desmond Child on the show now.
Well, we weren't going to anyway. Hey, listen, Desmond Child wrote "Living on the Edge."
That's true. And Living on a Prayer.
Living on a Prayer. Living on the Edge. Living on the Edge is Aerosmith. Yeah. Whoa.
It's a great song too.
That is a good song.
Both of them.
Yeah. But that's not his best song.
I think what you're trying to say is that, again, as someone who knows the Ricky Martin catalog, that song is not indicative of the catalog.
Yes.
I would argue that Nobody Wants to Be Lonely is probably closer to his overall catalog than Vida Loca.
It's funny because Nobody Wants to Be Lonely, when that song first came out, I liked the Christina Aguilera version more, and now I like the solo version more.
Really?
Yeah, I went back on it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, I think the solo version is a little bit more melancholic. But then again, I feel about Ricky Martin the same way I feel about Shakira. No, I feel about Shakira even stronger.
No, for sure. Shakira, Spanish. Leaps and bounds.
In Spanish,
leaps and bounds. She's
one
a
of my
poet.
favorite.
A poet.
The only song of hers in English that I think is a great song is "Hips Don't Lie."
It's just a good song.
But it's funny because "Hips Don't Lie" is in English, but I don't really think about it as in her English catalog. I think about because it has the Jerry Rivera sample.
That's okay.
And it has Wyclef Jean. So it's so...
There's so many other elements.
In English, but it's not an English pop song. Like, you know...
Sure.
Yeah. Like, I remember when she came out with that song, "Underneath Your Clothes."
But that at least, that sounds like a Shakira song.
Yeah, but like, I don't like her in English at all. Like, it's like...
I love in English. I do love Objection Tango.
Yeah.
Again, those songs, her first English albums, sounded like the Shakira sound, not the lyrics. I'm saying the sound.
Yeah, but I just know Mira, that's something that I really respect about Maluma, because Maluma speaks perfect English.
Yeah,
and they have said it. He's like, "Why don't you record in English?" And he's like, "Because I sing in Spanish."
Yeah, but it was a different world too when
I get it from a business perspective
because now it's different.
The crossover and all that stuff. No, you're right.
The crossover now, it doesn't really exist the same way.
Right. No, you're right. But like her music in Spanish is like amazing. It's like
she's a poet.
She is, and in English, it's so like
it's and you know we love the term, but it's pop.
Yeah, it's like
it's top 40 pop.
I mean, listen, if you're playing in the same Spotify playlist as Ashley Simpson, you're probably...
Now we'll never get Diana Ross either.
Oh, Ashley Simpson. Do we like Ashley Simpson?
I don't think I've ever stopped to think about Ashley Simpson.
Yeah.
So I don't know about whether I like her or not. Yeah, I don't think I have an opinion necessarily one way or the other of Ashley Simpson.
Got stains on my t-shirt.
I don't really...
I look back on her music now and it's like, I don't know, I think it's funny.
I'm like, sure, why not?
On a Monday, I'm waiting. And on Tuesday, I'm fading.
Maybe she thought she was going to be as successful with Craig in his 7 days.
Ugh. No. I mean, whatever. I think the greatest thing she ever did was that little jig on Saturday Night Live.
She was like, you know what? What am I going to
do? You know, my audio went out.
Audio went out. It's not even the same song. Like, sure.
You know, it's so funny. She could have just sang the song again.
I don't think you could, because it's Saturday Night Live.
Right, but she had the backing track to the first song.
But wasn't it that it was?
No, what happened was that.
I thought it was like a lip sync situation.
Well, yes and no. She sang the first song she sang. I forgot what song it was. If it was "Pieces of Me."
Probably.
Yeah, it was "Pieces of Me." The first song she sang, and then the second song. We're talking about Ashley Simpson on episode 199.
This is the most anybody has talked about Ashley Simpson this week.
So then, in the next song she was gonna sing, the vocals to it. Pieces of Me came out again, and that's when she started doing the Irish jig. I would have just sung the song again. I mean, everybody would have been like, wait, is she singing the same song? Like, why not?
The song's so nice, I sang it twice.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I mean.
Why not? Why the hell not?
That's one of the guiltiest things I've ever watched. I was in law school, forgive me.
What?
I remember there was a weekend that
her reality?
I saw the whole marathon of the Ashley Simpson show, and I'm not sure why, because I was never into Jessica Simpson.
I like Jessica more than Ashley.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
But it's not like, well, no, oh my God, I love Jessica Simpson.
Right. You weren't your father watching Newlyweds.
I wasn't my father watching Newlyweds.
Right.
Yeah. At that time, 60-some-year-old man, and he loved Newlyweds. And when they broke up, he was like in shock. Like, he couldn't believe it. And he'll still ask me, he's like, ay, esa Jessica Simpson y el esposo. She doesn't know. He can't say Nick Lachey. Like, ellos nunca se han hablado otra vez. I'm like, well, I don't know if they've ever spoken to each other, Dad.
I'm sure he gave her words of support when she came out as an alcoholic.
So, yeah, I was never really into Jessica Simpson. Not enough to warrant watching her sister's reality show. Yeah. I never really cared for Ashley Simpson's music either. But somehow I watched her reality show.
Hey, now that we're talking about shows, did you see that and live stuff? Dancing with the Stars is moving to Disney Plus.
So it's not going to be live anymore?
It is going to be live. So it's going to be the first live show to air on a streamer. So it's still going to air Mondays, let's say 8 o'clock or whatever time.
But it's not going to be on ABC anymore?
It's not going to be on ABC. It's going to be on Disney Plus. And so it got renewed for 2 seasons, both of them on Disney Plus.
But why?
I don't know. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. I do know.
We know obviously ABC and Disney.
Right. So number one, because it's Disney, so they can just shuffle it around everywhere and no big whoop. I do believe it's a twofold situation. I think that the ratings are probably not there. Mm-hmm. But they still recognize the power of it as a property. And as these streamers continue to grow, you need to keep doing things that'll bring people in. So what's the easiest way to do something? Actually, this is not the first network show that has moved to a streamer, because SEAL Team and Evil both went from CBS to Paramount Plus.
Right, I could, but that's not live.
But that's not live. So this is a new way to be like, well, guys, it's a live show, and it's the first live show ever on a streaming service, and so from a business perspective, I get it, but I don't know that I just don't know that people are going to be subscribing to watch Tyra Banks host Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And they better get some good stars, because if now I'm paying,
right,
like, it's not going to cut it to have, a YouTube influencer.
I've told you, like, it would be epic if one year they did, like, A-list Dancing with the Stars, like Beyonce.
Okay, I'm not going that high. My first thought was Paula Abdul. No, because I want A-list in terms of, like, people who can dance.
No,
not just A-level celebrities.
That's not why I watch Dancing with the Stars. I honestly, I've told you this 100 times. You
like the journey.
I love the journey. Like one of the best journeys I've told you a million times is like it's a Rob Kardashian. Like, he went from like not dancing to like being in the finals. Right. Candace Cameron was the same. Like, I like people that. Like, people that have the potential, because there's always the people in the first couple of weeks I'm like, you're there as a joke.
There's a Kate Gosselin and a Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on, then put Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams, the first week he was there, they did the Star Wars theme.
They're like, aprovecha.
Yeah, because they're not going to be here week 2. Like, when Alfonso Ribeiro was there,
right?
But he obviously
he's a dancer. Yeah.
Can dance. Every week you watch, like, okay, when are they going to do the Carlton dance?
Right.
When are they going to do it? Like, you knew they were going to do it.
Right.
The same thing when
with Sporty, with Mel, with Scary,
with Jesse, with Elizabeth Berkley. It's like you knew they were going to do something to Saved by the Bell, right. Which they eventually did. But Billy D. Williams, first episode Star Wars, because
just do it.
There's not going to be a week 2 for you.
No.
But with the people that aren't like that great and turn out to be
Surprise
really
you,
good.
surprise you, yeah.
You know, that's what's fun. I just think that show, and I was into that show for
Yes.
I mean, do you remember when Candace Cameron was there? Is that I would send out group texts like, vote for her, vote
It's
for
the
her.
one time he was active on the group text.
Yes, vote for her, vote for her.
And Jodie Sweetin también.
Yeah, Jodie Sweetin too. I got Candace Cameron to the finals. I'm pretty sure I did.
And the universe rewarded you by having you go to Fuller House.
Exactly. I needed to have told her. I'm like, hey, Candace,
Right here.
you were in the finals because of me and my people. But I just think like any reality show that even was hugely popular, it's run its course.
Right.
You know, and
At least this one has the competition angle, right? Where it's, to your point, you get, in theory, watch somebody do a thing.
right, but even
It's not just a
I
quote-unquote
just
reality.
think even if they get, because look, as much as JoJo Siwa annoys me, she pulled in people.
Right.
She has an
Yeah, yeah,
audience,
yeah.
and a lot of these people on that show, the celebrities, have an audience.
Right.
I just think that show ran its course. The same thing that American Idol. I mean, I loved American Idol.
But American Idol now is just...
It's ran its course.
It's like, who cares? I hate to say it that way, but...
It is. And then the Voice is just, you know,
Chugging along.
we're not sure why that show is on there.
Ahorita next season, it's literally just going to be the chair spinning.
Yeah, it's like they don't need to be a singer. They don't need to be a singer, and it's just the chairs and them.
Right.
Who was the person who said that? We talked about this. They were like, the Voice is about the judges, not about the contestants.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know who it was, but yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I've never cared for that show. But American Idol, I mean, I and you and millions of people.
Yes.
It was the highest rated show for years in the country, but it ran its course. You know,
It's a different world now, too, just from a singing perspective. I mean, how many people are getting discovered on TikTok and YouTube? Like, we don't need an American Idol. We don't need a voice.
I just think, Mira, I think that if you really stop and think about it, whether it's American Idol, even something like America's Next Top Model, Dancing with the Stars to a certain extent,
America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent, even these shows all came out in the early 2000s, and
Yeah.
there was such a height at that time that the people who won these shows, there was a certain credibility factor in the sense of Kelly Clarkson beat out like 10,000 people
Right.
that auditioned for that show.
Right.
Right? So there's a certain credibility factor to it.
Right.
Right? But now it's like, I think it's reversed. Now it's kind of like, oh, you were on American Idol? Like, next.
You don't have cred.
It's like cheesy.
That's what I mean. Right.
Yeah. It's like, meh. And it's nothing against the judges on American Idol now. Like, I mean, Lionel Richie, I mean, you can't get any more
Legendary. Yeah.
than Lionel Richie. Even Katy Perry doesn't bother me on the show. And the other guy,
Luke Bryan?
yeah. I mean, they're fine, but I don't know.
I think a lot of these things, there's also time and place.
Yeah.
You know, like-
and also with American Idol, the first few seasons, I mean, Randy, Paula, and Simon had chemistry.
You can't fake that.
Yeah, you can't fake that. And
And that was lightning in a bottle, for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Because who the hell would have known those three
But
would capture America's attention?
But what is interesting, actually, that's a very good point. What's really interesting about American Idol versus The Voice is that the American Idol, if you remember, was a runaway hit the first year. Like, that show went from being unknown
to like overnight
being a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
They would put it in the Library of Congress, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, we knew Paula Abdul, but it's not like Paula Abdul was like this iconic.
No, and she was not at the height of her.
She was not at the height of her career.
Right.
I knew Randy Jackson because he was Mariah Carey's, musical director.
But that was you.
But that was me.
Right.
But nobody really knew who he was. And nobody knew who Simon Cowell was.
Yeah.
Right?
And America, remember a time when none of us knew who Ryan Seacrest was?
And exactly. And the other guy.
And Brian Dunkelman?
Yes.
Which we still don't know who he is, but
that it's not like that show had it locked in. I mean, yes, it was the American version of Pop Idol, which was a hit in the UK, which we watched somehow.
Yes.
But it was place and time, and even though the judges became extremely popular, right? And their bickering and all that was like front page
It was part of the
news.
show, yeah.
It was, but it became known for that, right?
Right.
For the judges, but it was still about the contestants, and the contestants were front and center.
It was not reverse engineered.
Right. Yes, there was the Simon being really nasty, and I'm sure that after season 1, Simon knew he had to amp it up. And
Right.
They knew their characters.
Right.
They knew
They
that
knew
were
what they had to do, yeah.
Right. And I'm sure there was a lot of that, but it was still about the singers were still central to the
Right.
show, whereas that's not the case with The Voice. And I don't know. It's just like nobody really. I don't want to say nobody really cares because I hate saying that because I'm sure there's people that are, but it's not like whatever.
There's also, I think, something to be said for just, we said this before, like, there's just so much content now, too. It's, and I'm fingers crossed, because I think two of the streamers are about to just get combined.
Cool.
HBO Max and Discovery Plus, because Warner Brothers, Discovery just finished buying out Warner Brothers, so now it's Warner Brothers Discovery. And I feel like they are going to blend the two of them together, so now we're down to one. Like, you know what I mean? We're consolidating.
Listen, if these streamers ever put some type of restriction that it could only be streamed from one device, humanity is fucked.
Netflix is starting to figure out how to charge you
Yeah.
for multiple logins in places or whatever. It sounds great in theory, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, but what if you're somebody who just travels a lot?
I would cancel Netflix if that was the case. Netflix is the one I watch the least. And if I ever wanted to watch something, I'd sign up for a free trial and do whatever. No, because the whole point of these streamers was like the whole thing cut the cord from cable.
Right.
But now it's like, thankfully we have the family plan with,
But still.
which is rotating among all of our
Yes,
friends.
exactly.
But there's, okay, what do I have? Okay, I have Amazon Prime, Hulu. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have.
We have Hulu.
We have.
We have.
Amazon Prime, Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus. That's 6. What else do I have that I pay for? Yeah, that's 6.
That's 6.
That's 6. That's a lot.
I think I have more.
What do you have that I don't have?
Because so I have Hulu, which you have, Netflix, which I share, Discovery Plus, which Jose gets for free because of Discovery, HBO Max, which Jose gets for free because he has DirecTV,
Right.
whatever, Disney Plus, which I don't know whose it is, Peacock, which
Oh, I do have Peacock.
you have the free version or the pay version?
I have the free version. I need to get the pay version
I will.
from our friend.
Yes. Peacock, Amazon, Netflix.
I have Peacock, so I have 7.
I think I have I think I'm up to 8, and I probably have 9. Let's just round up. So yeah. Now, how many of them do we pay for, respectively? That's a different question.
There
But
should be a streaming plus that has just telenovelas.
There is.
Like old telenovelas.
I can't remember the name of it right now.
Is it like telenovela plus?
I think it's called Pantalla.
Pantalla telenovelas.
I think it's Pantalla.
That it's like a repository of telenovelas.
I don't know how far back it goes, but I know that they have Ruby and again, that's what listen, when they promote it, they're gonna show the ones people remember, like María del Barrio, Primo Mayor. I'm sure though that these things are probably owned by Galavisión or Televisa, and it probably goes back. I would love to catch some old ass Verónica Castro novelas.
Yeah. Los ricos también lloran.
Yes. Which is the one with the lady with the patch?
Oh, Cuna de Lobos.
Cuna de Lobo.
We need to do
Our novela.
Another novela episode. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's been a while. I mean, we're not going to do it now because we're at the end of this episode.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. But
Right, but we need to do
yes.
because I remember that one was our listeners really liked La Telenovela ones.
Yes. Actually, now you said that we're wrapping up. I just want to I want to do a little promo corner right quick. So this Wednesday, April. Oh my God, I think you have a calendar in front of you. April 20 something. I can't think of the date right now. We're going to be doing trivia.
Oh yes,
At Union Beer. No, not at Union Beer. At Beat Culture. Sorry about that. It is on the 20th. April 20th, we're going to be at Beat Culture doing trivia. So please come out and do trivia. And then on the 23rd, we are going to be doing one of our Bim Bam Pollo pop-ups, where we're going to have... We're figuring out what we're going to have, but we're definitely going to do some spicy Korean and some guayaba y queso. We're going back and forth whether we're going to do wings or chicken sandwiches. So you all should come out and find out which decision we made and taste, because they're going to taste delicious anyway. We'll post all of that. It's at the Miami Vintage Market. So thank you, Miami Vintage Market, for inviting us to be part of that pop-up. Just wanted to do a little housekeeping promo moment.
So wait, now that we talked about food, I'm thirsty.
You're thirsty. So
my
sodas.
last soda time. I'm just gonna give my last soda this week to Gilbert Gottfried, who passed away this week.
Did you see the picture that was circulating?
Of?
That it was him, Saget, and Louis Anderson?
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Gilbert Gottfried is one of these people that, like, whether you liked him or not, he was an original.
Yeah.
For
sure.
And he was his own brand, his own kind of style.
Yeah, definitely unique.
Yeah. For better or for worse. And, like, you have to kind of commend that originality.
I sure as hell do.
So, and it's funny because he's one of these people, I can't say that I really thought about him too much, especially in the last few years, but you appreciated what he contributed, Yeah. So.
That's good. Well, I'm going to give my last soda. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm just going to give it to Darwin Figueroa, guest host from last week.
He got my soda last week. So
he's double refreshed. Thank you so much, man, for stepping in and guest hosting. And after 198 episodes, I had not missed one, but 197.
Yes.
I had not missed one episode. But you know what? I needed a break.
Yes, Darwin. And as you know, if Miss Universe can complete her reign,
exactly,
then the first runner-up completes Miss Universe's reign.
I love it. So thank you, man. Like I genuinely appreciate
awesome.
you stepping in. And he's one of those people that you and I've said this all the time. We just freaking love him. And I think one of the things that makes us, like, I don't want to use the word sad or upset or whatever, but he's one of those people that it's like, why don't we see him more? Why don't we hang out with him more? Like, every time we see him, we say the same thing because we just love to
he has really good energy.
He has phenomenal energy. Like, it's just, it's pure and just out there. And I freaking love you, man. So thank you again.
I was going to say, we should give an extra soda to Mark Morrison. Why not?
Listen, he'll be happy somebody's talking about him.
Yeah, Mark Moore. I can assure you there's not another podcast, at least this week,
that has talked about Mark Morrison and Ashley Simpson.
Yeah. Ashley Simpson, maybe more.
No, in that combination.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They should redo Ebony and Ivory.
Okay, if they do, this is on tape.
Yes, and she has the Motown connection.
This is true.
Yeah. I'm sure she knows Berry Gordy.
He's still alive, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, can you just imagine your mother-in-law being Diana Ross?
I would totally want to try on, like, the feather boas.
I mean, it's like, how do you even approach that, right? But then again, her sister-in-law
is Tracy.
Tracy.
Yeah.
Tracy Ellis
Ross, yeah.
Right? But it's like, does she say, like, hi, Mrs. Ross? Or does she call her the boss? Like,
oh. Well, the rumor is that she has everybody call her Ms. Ross.
Is that true?
Well, I'm sure not family,
right.
But like the diva reputation, is like when you meet her, it's like, oh, Miss Ross, Miss
right.
Ross.
Reach out and touch someone.
It's true.
I mean,
ain't no mountain high enough.
Yeah. It's like your mother-in-law is
Diana Ross. Like, you want to talk about the word that gets thrown around, icon, but that's an icon.
No, and it's not
like
even,
that's
it's
a
not
legend.
Even, like,
that
the
is
star power, because there's like a lot of people that are like very famous or even more famous. That's like, okay, like that's your mother-in-law. Oh wow, But Diana Ross
is Diana Ross.
It's like I don't think of Diana Ross doing anything else other than seductively being in front of a fan.
I can't think of Diana Ross wearing jeans.
Right. She is, I just think of her eternally in front of some type of wind source, with some type of shiny source. And a wind
source.
Right,
I love that.
Right, because there could be different types. It could be a fan, un ventilador. She could be on a cliff. She could be on a balcony on the Riviera.
As we've seen in the midst of a tropical storm.
Yes. On Central Park.
Central Park.
A
wind source. You know what? You are right, sir.
You like that one?
You are.
I just see her eternally in front of a wind source. You know, she has some type of off-the-shoulder garment. Her shoulders have to show, right?
At least one.
Yeah, she has some type of shawl or boa. There's something around her.
Always drapery.
Yes.
There's
yes.
always drapery.
For
the wind source. For the wind source, of course.
It has to be dramatic.
Right.
Her hair, of course, the hair. And then, you know, she's kind of like... I just see her having her hands up in the air. We're not sure why, but it's okay because it's Diana Ross.
Because Diana Ross is just eternally flowing.
Yes.
Flowing. Diana Ross is just always flowing.
If we're all elements, she is air.
She is. Is she the Avatar?
The airbender? Diana Ross is air. Like, so imagine that being your mother-in-law. Be like, hi, Mrs. Ross. I'm Ashley. I'm from Texas. My dad's name is Joe. I have a sister named Jessica. You may have heard of her. Yes, I know you're a Motown legend and icon, but I'm just Ashley, y'all. Sometimes I'm blonde, sometimes I'm not.
And we never know.
But, you know, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Ross. Miss Ross.
Miss Ross.
As
she floats down to meet her.
I mean, listen, she left the Super Bowl in a helicopter.
This is true.
Right? I'm sure.
There is a lot of air when you think of Diana Ross.
I'm sure that one of the reasons when they were thinking the concept of the helicopter was the air. You know?
Right, the propellers.
Right.
Air, the whole...
You know, and again, as you say, drapery. Like a lot of drapery. Diana Ross is now wearing a t-shirt. Or a simple blouse. She has to wear something that hangs. That... flows in the air because Diana Ross is air. Again, who else is left in a helicopter?
Sure.
I mean, the only thing that could surpass her exit from her Super Bowl show is if somebody leaves in a rocket. And they just do the Super Bowl show at like the NASA last launching pad in Cape Canaveral. And I don't know who's going to do the Super Bowl next. Whomever.
I say just have her do it and have her leave in a rocket.
Right. They just get in a rocket when it goes T-minus, blah, and then boom.
Diana Ross just goes up into space.
Diana Ross or whomever goes outer space. I mean, that's really the only thing that could outdo that.
All I can think of is like, Lance Bass won't even be asked for that.
No. I mean, Lance doesn't have the air.
No,
element.
He's not air.
No, he's not drapey.
He's not
like, you know, yeah. So again, if you're Ashley Simpson, how do you even come close to that? Well, it's not like she's water. What is it? Earth, wind, and fire?
Wind, fire, and air.
And air? I mean...
Well, maybe that's why they didn't put air in the band name.
Right.
They just...
It was already taken by
They're like, we're Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I mean, she's not fire.
No.
She's definitely not Earth.
No. She's not water.
And she's not water.
She's not water. I don't find her liquidy.
Right, she's air.
She's air.
I mean, when have you ever seen Diana Ross where something in her was not moving? Something was not moving. There's always something moving, right?
Yeah, she's not wearing like some type of like, you know, fitted suit.
I don't know why I love watching it. And I can't say I'm a Diana Ross fan. I love Upside Down.
Right.
I like that song a lot. That's I think
COVID Miholio. I was gonna go see her in concert for her 70th thing.
Upside Down. That song I actually like a lot. But aside from that, I'm not really a big fan of her other stuff. I love that TV special she had in 1981 when Upside Down came out. That she's on top of the Great Western Forum in LA. And she's just spinning around, and a helicopter passes by her. You haven't seen this?
I haven't seen this, but again, a wind source.
She's dancing on top of this huge signage they did on top of the stadium that said Diana.
Okay,
And
yes,
she's
yes,
just
yes,
spinning
yes,
around
yes.
and everything is floating.
Lots of drapery.
And
lots
we
of...
have just spent 10 minutes talking about Diana Ross. Anyway, everybody, we hope that was episode. We are ending our last episode before our 200s with Diana Ross. So what
Why
better
not?
way to end it?
Why not?
What better way
Why
to
not?
end it? So anyway,
Oh, Lord.
wow, I hope everybody made it this far. We're gonna go watch Diana Ross now in her 1980 or 81
Oh, I gotta watch.
special.
We have to now.
We hope everybody has a great holiday weekend. Whatever you observe, whatever you celebrate this weekend.
See you at Trivia on Wednesday.
Hope you have a great time and a peaceful time with your family. We hope you listened, laughed, and learned about Diana Ross. And that is, grab your pastelito, your croqueta, your cafecito, and your wind source machine, and we will join us again, please. I can't even end it. I'm thinking about his air. And join us next week for our 200th episode. It's here, everyone. It's here. So thank you so much.
Bye,
have a great
everybody.
weekend. Bye.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.